Hello and welcome to another Tunisian crochet tutorial slash video. This tutorial is going to be slightly different because I'm not going to be showing you individual stitches or combination of stitches, but I'm going to show you how I made the Sienna Harvest Berry Shawl. I will not be crocheting every single row because this video would be endless. However, I'm going to show you the main points in the pattern, and this video will kind of guide you along the pattern, especially the tricky bits. Okay, so first things first, you will need about 200 grams of fingering weight yarn. It is totally up to you what kind of brand or what kind of composition of yarn you select. For this shawl, because I wanted to highlight different color changes, and I wanted to have quite a nice stitch definition, I selected this yarn, which is indie dyed yarn from Black Elephant Yarns in the UK, and you can check out their shop online. They've got beautiful colorways and this colorway is called Minerva. Okay, so I used one skein, so it was 100 grams, and it's fingering weight yarn, and it was approximately 425 meters or approximately 460 yards. And then I had this yarn, which is Malabrigo sock. This one is 100% wool, and it's approximately, it was also 100 gram skein. It was approximately 400 meters or 440 yards. Aside from the yarn, you will need 4mm Tunisian crochet hook with the cable. So this is extendable crochet hook, and you will need approximately 4 inches or 100 centimeters. You can probably get away with less, but it might be not as comfortable when you have the weight of the shawl, especially towards the end, on your wrist. That's why I prefer to use longer cables, even if I have a little bit of space on the cable. Okay, you will also need tapestry needle, ball weaving in ends, and scissors. Okay, so the final shawl size is approximately 53 times 57 inches or 130 centimeters times 60, approximately 67 centimeters. This is a medium-sized shawl, and it will make a really nice accessory for any coat, or just like a layering option to throw something on your shoulders when you are a bit chilly. So I'm going to show you the shawl. Okay, so here we go. This is where I've started, in this central triangle, and as you crochet, the stitches will extend the shawl on the left and on the right. This is the beginning, so these are the beginning 6 stitches that we are going to be working, and this is the central spine. As you can see, the stitch pattern consists of kind of dense section of stitches, which I call also filler stitches. I start with this in order to give the shawl a firm structure, and then lace stitches. So for the firm section or the filler section and the lace stitches, I alternated the yarn colors, and again I had another filler section and then a different type of lace. So I used 2 types of lace and 1 type of filler section. What I then did, at certain point in the shawl, I changed the colors. Okay, and it was here, it was on this lace section. If you can see really closely, I did a forward pass in one color and the return pass in another. I repeated it for a few rows, and it worked out that the next filler section was in the opposite color yarn. Okay, and then I had the lace in the other colorway, and I completed the shawl with a lace section. As you can see, it creates really beautiful, delicate and elegant edge. Okay, so this is the shawl. I will be publishing the pattern on the 1st of March, and this video will go live at the same time. Okay. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using a different yarn, different weight yarn. I like to use worsted weight yarn, just so that the stitches are more visible rather than using a fingering weight yarn. And I will be using size 8 hook for this demonstration. But as I mentioned, for the shawl you will need fingering weight yarn and size 4mm hook. Okay, so let me extend my hook. Okay, so to start with, we are going to be chaining 6. Okay, so we make a slip knot, and we chain 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we are going to be working into the back bumps of these chain stitches, and this can create a nicer edge, a nicer beginning of the project. Okay, we are going to be picking up these back loops, okay, here we go. We've got the last one. Just to double check, we've got 6, 2, 4, 6, yes. And we are going to be working standard return pass. For all the stitch combinations and for all the sections in this pattern, we will be using the standard return pass in Tunisian crochet, which is chain 1, and then we yarn over and pull through 2 loops, like so. Okay. Okay, there we have it. Okay, so from then on we will be working 4 increases per row. Okay, so we will do 2 increases at our edges, and the shawl will be growing on the left and the right, and we do 2 increases around the middle section, around the middle spine. Okay, so we start with a row. So this was row number 1, or also foundation row in Tunisian crochet. Now we're going to move on to row 2. So we will work Tunisian knit stitch, like so. So we enter the hook from front to back, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'll show you again. From front to back, we yarn over and pull up a loop. And then we will do Tunisian simple stitch exactly in the same stitch. So we are working around this front vertical bar. Okay, so we enter the hook from right to left, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, and that's our increase because we did 2 stitches into a 1 stitch in the row below. So the stitch count increased by 1. Okay, and then we are going to be we repeat this again. So we do 1 Tunisian knit stitch and Tunisian simple stitch into 1 stitch. So as you can see, we've got now 5 loops on the hook. So far we've done 2 increases. So this was the edge increase, and this will be the middle section increase. And now we are going to be working a Tunisian slanted stitch. Okay, so this stitch is a little bit tricky because usually we work stitches from left to right, from front to back, but this stitch we need to go into the loop from left to right. Okay, so we are going to be working into this front vertical bar. So we pull the bar and we turn the hook around, and insert it from left to right. So again, this is the loop. This is the loop we are going to be working into, or front vertical bar. We are going from left to right, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, and now we are going to be working another slightly tricky stitch, so please watch carefully. Now we are going to be working a knit stitch into the same stitch. However, knit stitches I usually work with the front vertical bar on the left hand side. So now we are going to do the opposite. We are going to have the front vertical bar on the right hand side and work into the stitch like this, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, so let me show you again. I've got the front vertical bar on the right hand side. We insert the hook as if for knit stitch, so from front to back. We yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, so we've done our third increase, and now we need to do our last increase into this stitch. Our last increase will be the same as the first increase, and that's it. We are going to be working Tunisian knit stitch and Tunisian simple stitch, like so. Okay, and then the last stitch or the last loop is the end stitch. So we need to rotate the fabric from towards ourselves, and we've got right and a left strand of yarn, and we work onto both of these, yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, so while we've had 6 loops or 6 stitches in the first foundation row, now we increased by 4. Okay, so now we should have 10 loops on our hook. So when we count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so we've increased correctly. And standard return pass of chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to the end. Okay, like so. Okay, so this little stitch here, which looks like upside down V, it's not as pronounced as when you start working more rows and creating the spine, but this is the beginning of the spine, and the shawl will extend on the right and on the left hand side. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 more rows of this stitch combination, just to show you how the filler section, how it's done. So now row number 3, again we are going to be working Tunisian knit stitch and Tunisian simple stitch into the same stitch, and this is our first increase. So Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, like so. And now in the previous row we had a Tunisian knit, so the stitch pattern for the filler section is alternating Tunisian knit stitches and Tunisian simple stitches. Okay, so in row 3 or row 2 we had Tunisian knit stitch, so now we need to do Tunisian simple and Tunisian knit. Okay, now we are coming into our middle section. So the right hand side of our middle section is always Tunisian knit stitch and Tunisian simple stitch. That's one central increase, Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, like so. And the left hand side of the central section, or the center 2 stitches, is Tunisian slanted stitch. Okay, to open up the loop a little bit. Okay, Tunisian slanted stitch and Tunisian knit stitch with the front vertical bar on the right. Okay, so we're going to be working this one. Now, the previous stitch was Tunisian simple, so now we are going to be working Tunisian knit, or in the previous row rather. The next one is Tunisian simple, like so, and then our increase stitch. So that's Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, and we go to the end stitch, and stitch worked as previously under 2 bars. Okay, so again, previously we had 10 loops on our hook. Increase by 4, we should have 14 now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, so we've done our 4 increases. So this is row number 3. We chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, over, pull through 2, over, pull through 2, all the way to the end. Now we are going to be working a row number 4. So we start with, again, our increase as Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple. And if you remember, we started the first stitch after the increase in row number 3 was Tunisian simple. So now we need to alternate to create a nice fillet section stitch pattern. So we start with Tunisian simple, Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, Tunisian knit. Okay, and now we're getting into the center 2 stitches. So again, each will have increase. So on the right hand side, the increase is as Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, and on the other side it's slanted stitch and Tunisian knit stitch with the front vertical bar on the right. Okay, so Tunisian slanted and Tunisian knit. Okay, and now we are going to be repeating Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple to last 2 stitches. So Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, our last 2 stitches here. So first we need to create the increase, so that's Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, and the edge stitch. Okay, like so. Again, we increased by 4 stitches, so we should have 18 loops on our hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay. And standard return pass. So I'm going to show you one more row of this fillet section, which will be row number 5. Okay, in the pattern it states that rows 5 to 10 are worked as a repeat of row number 4, and then on row number 11 we will be changing the color of the yarn on the return pass. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you row number 5, and I will pretend that row number 5 at the end is row number 11, and I'll change the color, and then we will get to the next section, which will be starting with row 12. So again, we've created 4 rows of the fillet section or the fillet stitch pattern. The pattern says that row 5 to row 11 are repeat of row number 4, with a color being changed, color of your yarn being changed on return pass of row number 11. Okay, so let's work number 5 together and change the color at the end of the row. Okay, so we need to first do our increase, so that will be Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, and then we are going to be working repeat of Tunisian simple and Tunisian knit to the center 2 stitches. Okay, so we are going to be working simple, knit, simple, knit, simple, knit. Got our center 2 stitches, so we do our usual increase of Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple. The other stitch is increased by working Tunisian slanted stitch and Tunisian knit stitch with your front vertical bar on the right. And then after that, after the center 2 stitches, we will be working combination of Tunisian knit and simple to last 2 stitches. So that's Tunisian knit, simple, knit, simple. We've got 4 here, so we need to repeat it one more time. Knit, simple. Now we're going to be working our increase of Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple and our edge stitch. Okay, so just to double check, this is row number 5 and we should have 22 loops. So let's double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Okay, so as I said before, you will be repeating the row number 4 up to row 11. So for this purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to be working all 11 rows. I'm going to show you how to change the color on your return pass. So just to keep this edge really nice and neat, just to match the stitch, how the stitches look on this side, I'm going to be changing color, but it's slightly different way how you would do it normally. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this working yarn and I'm going to wrap it around the hook. Okay, so this was my last stitch, so I'm going to be introducing a 1 more loop on the hook. Okay, and I hold it with my index finger like so. Then I take my second color, make a loop. You can make a slip knot as well, it's up to you. I just prefer to have just the loop. I don't like to introduce another little knot into the project. So make a loop, I slide it on the hook, and I'm going to pull it through 2 loops. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to be working yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you again. So we've got our edge stitch loop, then we wrap the yarn from front to back to create 1 more loop on the hook. Hold it with your index finger, take the alternating color, the color that you are going to be using now, slide it on the hook, and pull it through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2, and continue working standard return pass. Like so. Okay. And as you can see, the way you change the color makes the edge looks really nice and matches the other loops. Right, so now we are going to be working, I'm going to be showing you how to do the next section. So this will be first lace section. Okay, so these stitches are simply, or this stitch pattern is simply worked as yarn overs and Tunisian simple stitches. Okay, and we maintain the increases as previously established. So every row again will have 4 increases, 2 on left and right edge and 2 in the middle with the middle section being exactly the same. And as you can see, as we work the rows, this spine starts to emerge. So we'll have this nice, delicate, gentle spine, splitting the shawl into symmetrical sections, left and right. Okay, so we are starting with the usual. We will do the increase of Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple stitch. Okay, and now we will work yarn over. We skip the next bar because the yarn over corresponds to the next stitch or the next bar, and we will work Tunisian simple stitch in the next front vertical bar, like so. Okay, and then again we yarn over, skip next stitch, and do Tunisian simple in the next one. Again, yarn over, skip the next one, work Tunisian simple in the next stitch. Yarn over, skip this stitch, and insert the hook into the next, and do Tunisian simple stitch to the center 2 stitches. Okay, so these are the center 2 stitches, which we are going to be working the usual increases. First, we will do Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, and then Tunisian slanted stitch and Tunisian knit, like so. This other section after the center increase will be worked as Tunisian simple and yarn over. Okay, so now we're going to be starting the mirror image of this of the first section. So we work Tunisian simple, yarn over, skip the next stitch, and do Tunisian simple in the next one, yarn over, skip the next stitch, Tunisian simple in the next one, again yarn over, skip the next stitch, work Tunisian simple in the next one, and we finish with, so do yarn over, skip the next bar, and work our increased stitch of Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, and then we will work our end stitch. Okay, and now we're going to be working a standard written pass as previously. So we chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, all the way to the beginning. So this would be row number 12. And now we are going to be working row number 13. Okay, so row number 13, again we'll start with increase. So we will do Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, we do 1 Tunisian simple, and we will start with yarn over, skip next vertical bar, and Tunisian simple in the next stitch. And we will do this to, and this time not to the center 2 stitches, but to the 1 stitch before the center 2 stitches. Okay, this is due to the fact that this section would be offset by 1 due to the first increase on the right hand side. So the yarn overs, if we start as the previous row, the yarn overs would not align. That's why we need to start with Tunisian simple, and we will also finish with Tunisian simple in the 1 stitch before the center 2 stitches. Okay, so we've got 1 Tunisian simple there, and now we're going to be doing repeat of Tunisian yarn over and Tunisian simple. Okay, so yarn over, Tunisian simple, yarn over, Tunisian simple, We are working the Tunisian simple stitches into the Tunisian simple stitches in the row below. Yarn over Tunisian simple, yarn over Tunisian simple. Okay, so we are now 1 stitch before the center 2 stitches. So we will do Tunisian simple. Now we are going to be working our usual increase into the center, which is Tunisian knit and Tunisian simple, Tunisian slanted stitch, Tunisian knit, and now we're getting to the other section, to other side of our shawl. So here we will do, again, we will start with Tunisian simple, because this first stitch here is Tunisian simple, and we will do a repeat of Tunisian simple yarn overs to last 3 stitches. Okay, so we'll do Tunisian simple, yarn over, Tunisian simple, yarn over, Tunisian simple. Again, we are doing Tunisian simple into the Tunisian simple stitches row below, yarn over, Tunisian simple, yarn over. Don't forget this last yarn over. Okay, so we will, these are our last 3 stitches here, edge stitch and these 2, so let's count as last 3 stitches. So we will do Tunisian simple into the first one, into the second one we will do our increase, knit and simple and edge stitch. Okay, in this section the rows 12 and 13 will be repeated up to the row 17. So you will repeat this 2 more times, and on the return pass of row 17 you will change your color back to the color of the previous section. So here I started with mustard, so at the end of row 17 I will go back to mustard, and I will use the same technique for changing color as I used on row 11. Okay, so I'm going to do the return pass for this for row 13, which is the standard return pass. Like so. Okay, so we finished on row 17. After the row 17, when you change back to your, you change to color B, then you start working 10 rows of your filler section again, and then we will come to another lace section again, and you will work another lace section. So I'm going to show you how to work the second lace section now. So what we need to do in this section, we are going to be using a Tunisian double stitches, and Tunisian double stitches bring the height of your, it will bring the height of your row higher than the normal size. So that's why at the beginning of the row we need to chain one, otherwise it will start slanting and it will pull on your edge. Okay, now we are also going to be working the same increases on the left and right edge, and in the center section that those will be slightly different. Okay, so what we are going to be doing is we're going to be working extended stitches, extended Tunisian knit and extended Tunisian simple. First, I'll show you how to do this. So we start with normal knit stitch and we chain 1. Okay, very simple. That's how we extend the stitch to the correct height. And then Tunisian simple, and we extend it by chaining 1. There you go. So that was extended Tunisian knit and extended Tunisian simple. And we've done our increase. Now we are going to be working 2 Tunisian double under 2 front vertical bars. Okay, so that sounds very complicated or very confusing, but it's actually very simple. So we yarn over, we insert the hook from right to left under 2 bars next to front vertical bars, we yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's our first Tunisian double under 2 front vertical bars, and we do exactly the same once more. So we yarn over, work under next 2 front vertical bars, or the same one that we already worked the first stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, we yarn over, pull through 2. There you go. And we repeat this to the center 2 stitches. Okay, so we yarn over, we find our next 2 front vertical bars, worked under both of these, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, under the same 2, we're going to be working the second Tunisian double, like so, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and we've got a couple of more to do. So we yarn over, work under the next 2 front vertical bars, yarn over, pull through 2, and the same again. Okay, now we've got our last 2 stitches, our last 2 front vertical bars before the center. So we are going to do our last 2 Tunisian double and the 2 front vertical bars. Okay, there you go. And then our central increase. Again, we will be using extended stitches here, just to get the correct height of the stitches to match the Tunisian double stitches. So we will work Tunisian knit and chain 1, which is extended Tunisian knit stitch, Tunisian simple and chain 1, Tunisian slanted and chain 1, and Tunisian knit with the front vertical bar on the right hand side and chain 1. Okay, now we're getting into the second half of our shawl, and again we are going to be working 2 Tunisian double crochet stitches into 2 front vertical bars to the last 2 stitches. Okay, so we yarn over, insert the hook under the 2 front vertical bars, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and again, same as in the section before the center, we are repeating exactly the same stitch pattern. Okay, and again. And we've got the last pair of front vertical bars to work. Okay, like so, and we've got last 2 stitches, and this is our edge stitch and our increase stitch. So we need to do Tunisian knit with chain 1, it's extended Tunisian knit, Tunisian simple, and chain 1, that's extended Tunisian simple, and our edge stitch. Okay, so when you work this edge stitch, I would recommend that you pull up on the loop slightly to extend it, or you can introduce an extra chain. Okay, the pattern doesn't specifically state that you need to chain 1, but just to get the correct size of your edge, you would pull up on the loop and make it a little bit extended to match the rest of your stitches. Okay, and we will be working standard return pass. So this would be row number 28. This row is repeated 3 more times, so in total this lace section consists of 4 rows of 2 Tunisian double under 2 front vertical bars, and after this section it's repeat of 1 filler section which consists of 10 rows, followed by the first lace of yarn over and Tunisian simple into the next front vertical bar, and this type of lace. Okay, so I'm going to finish up this row, return pass of this row, and this is the base of the pattern. So I explained how you increase the stitches, how you do the filler rows, and how you do your lace stitch patterns. Okay, so from row number 31, row number 32, it will be a repetition of this 3 section with changing colors to get the opposite color effects on the stitches in the lace number 2 section. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. As I mentioned previously, this is not a complete pattern tutorial. This video is meant to accompany the written pattern, which you can find either on my blog, which is at exquisitecrochet.uk.com, or if you would like to support my work, you can find it in my Lovecrafts shop, and I will give you the link in the description section below. Okay, again, thank you very much for watching. This has been an unusual video to my usual 10 and 15 minutes stitch tutorials, but I found it quite useful to create a whole introduction to the pattern this time around. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.